Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone, and as always, have 4 awesome decks for you today, including 2 Madam Web decks, one of which I think is the closest thing that card right now has to a meta deck. We have 2 other decks that do a really stellar job of answering all the move you're going to be seeing all over the meta as people try and figure out Madam Web. The first such list is from one of the best players in the world, number 1 on the Infinite leaderboard last season, number 2 the season before. It's Derek, and it's Clog. Clog does a phenomenal job at stomping out move. If they don't have space to move, it's a really easy win. All you really need to do often is fill whatever lane that they're not dealing with, and once that lane is full, they can't really get enough move going to get enough power to win the game. And even if they could, well, Cannonball solves that problem for you. Magic gives you time to do that. Grandmaster gives you the opportunity to double Cannonball, double Viper, double Cersei, double whatever nonsense you want, and you just sort of go over the top. Alright, so Derek's deck is this one. This is currently rank 3. Derek is playing this, and a list we featured in, I want to say it was Monday's video, at the current rank 3 spot. It would not shock me if Derek ends up in the top 2 or even number 1 again. He plays like a maniac, and he's phenomenal at the game. Alright, Kate Bishop, Cersei, and Mockingbird are your needed high series cards here, so hopefully you bought Kate Bishop, and hopefully you opened for Mockingbird last week. Cersei, however, you'll have to have grabbed when she was in Spotlights. Nico can be White Widow, Iceman, or Spider-Ham. I'm pretty sure this deck wants White Widow over Nico. I think Widow's just too good not to have in this list. Nico gives you one big extra play, the surprise counter magic, and then a couple like extra things like the draw 2 and stuff that really help, but it's not an important card here. Grandmaster can be Absorb Matter, Cassandra Nova. Again, fine as White Widow if that's where you're replacing for your White Widow. And Cannonball was originally Carnage before Derek had Carnage. Sorry, before Derek had Cannonball. Carnage was a way to make the junk on your side not happen. Cannonball is way better for this list. The Clog lane is a win, obviously, ideally, especially with Titania, and then Cannonball wins another lane. So again, rank 3 deck right now. Turn 1, you'd really like to Hood. You basically never Titania on turn 1. You can Nico if it's the draw 2. Turn 2, you want to play Kate. If you have White Widow, White Widow's fine. Turn 3, you'd like to get Magic out before the Clog, so your opponent isn't exactly aware of what you're doing. There's not a lot of Nocturne in the meta. If Nocturne starts showing up in your meta, then you would rather save Magic to turn 4 or 5. Turn 4 is Debris, Goblin, or Viper with Titania, and ideally that combo in some form or fashion is clogging one of their lanes, and at that point, if you have clogged one of their lanes, and it's going to be a win, you can snap. Turn 5, you'd like to Cersei a different lane, ideally a lane that has like Magic and Kate in it, or the lane that has the actual debris in it, is a really good target for that Cersei. And that Cersei, especially if you've managed to play Debris or the Demon, will make you a nice cheap Mockingbird. So you play that nice cheap Mockingbird, and then you play another Clog card. And then, if you didn't Magic on turn 5 or earlier, obviously there will be no turn 7 unless Limbo naturally came up, so that's when you want to Cannonball. Either turn 6 or turn 7 Cannonball is your big finisher that basically guarantees you a win if you do the deck right. Cool. Right after this next little bit, please check out the best day 1 Madam Web deck, at least in my estimation, and that of those I've spoken to. This is my favorite version of the list, but first, one last look at this awesome list that will do a great job at taking out the move meta should you not be someone getting Madam Web, or someone who just wants to farm cubes on all the move players. Before we get to that next deck, please hit that sub button right below me. That little red button is the sub button. We're trying to hit 15,000 subs, and your sub would mean a lot. We do 7 days a week of videos with at least 3 videos. With at least 3 new decks a day. So if you want more top decks than anyone from top players like Derek, our next deck is from Ava Zord. If you want top decks from top players, this is the channel for you. Hit that sub button. We will help you reach your goals in Marvel Snap, whether that be hitting Infinite, climbing the Infinite leaderboard, getting Infinity borders, whatever it may be. In addition, we do a giveaway. We do a giveaway once a week for most of the season, and then the last week of the season and the first week of the new season, we give away 5. There is a giveaway this week. All you have to do is be subbed and leave a comment on each video. One of those videos, there will be a specific question being asked at some point in this video. It'll be after the next deck, just so you know. When that question is asked, you answer it in the comments and you're entered to win the season pass. Nice and simple. So if you're still looking for Symbiote Spider-Man, that's one way to go. Oh, also tomorrow we have what I think is my current favorite symbiote Spider-Man list. It's been floating around, but I just really like the list. So I have a new favorite symbiote Spider-Man list that's going to be in tomorrow's video if you want to check it out. All right, next up we have this list, which I called Ava's new favorite card, because Madam Web is, in fact, Ava's new favorite card. Cosmo is absolutely incredible in this list. Like, absolutely incredible. Cosmo really pulls this list together. This list came together over the course of the day, so we don't have accurate stats for it, because there were like 3 or 4 cards different, and it slowly evolved to this list, which became a beast for Ava. The Black Swan is genuinely a touch of genius here, and Falcon over Beast is very smart, partially because you have the Black Swan, but also partially because that lets you Cosmo wherever you feel it is most logical to Cosmo, and still get back your Ghost Spider, Torch, and Iron Fist. Cool. This list will occasionally poop the bed by not seeing a couple of move cards or Kraven not being big enough with the move cards. So be it. When that happens, you just sort of eat those losses. It's not the end of the world. All right, so you can find Ava at twitch.tv/Avazord. He is Brazilian, so he often speaks Portuguese, but if you say hi in English, he's perfectly happy to speak in English and explain some decks. So if you want to check it out, please do check out Ava. All right, the Ghost Spider bundle gives you access to the card Ghost Spider. If you don't have it, it's $15 for the whole month. They're obviously selling that this month on purpose because you need Ghost Spider for all these decks. If not, you do need Ghost Spider. Madam Web is also needed for this list. This list without Madam Web is bad. Madam Web is the best card in the list by an awful lot. Swan can be Beast, but Swan is better for the time being. I think an Activate Swan will be even better than the current Swan, but we shall see if that is the case. The Activate Swan gives you the opportunity to do like Cloak and Swan on turn 4, which seems really powerful. It also gives you the I didn't see Madam Web on turn 2. I can just drop Swan to do some shenanigans later. Play. All right, so why no Hercules? Well, everyone's running move right now, or there's enough people running move right now, and Hercules is only once per turn, so Hercules has a reasonable chance of backfiring on you. You're basically choosing at this point between Hercules, Cosmo, and Kraven. Kraven helps you beat other bounce players, and Hercules can help your other bounce players beat you, and Cosmo is just way too important because the people that are trying to counter this tend to just die to Cosmo. Finally, Symbiote Spider-Man, not replacing Falcon, but Symbiote Spider-Man is a really, really great card here. It would again have to replace Kraven. There's really not another good replacement here. You can replace Cloak, but you're going to regret it. Cloak could be Doctor Strange, I guess, fine. But, like, Symbiote Spider-Man was great in testing here, and he ended up just being removed because it's really, really hard to fit everything you want to do in a list like this. But Symbiote Spider-Man as a way to double up on either Falcon or Iron Fist is really, really effective if you're looking for a good home for Symbiote Spider-Man that you would like to try. Maybe Symbiote Spider-Man ends up in the final version of this. It wouldn't shock me, but it's really, really tough because you just need so many move enablers if you don't see Madam Web. If you do see Madam Web, though, you sort of have enough move enablers for the game as long as you get her out early and get a couple of move triggers. There are very few things, however, as immediately frustrating Marvel Snap as getting a nice on-curve Madam Web and then not seeing any of your 3 movers until like turn 5. All right. Again, Cosmo's the secret sauce here. Cosmo in the Madam Web lane or a lane that you want to end up with like a giant Human Torch or giant dagger in is really good. If the opponent's playing a lot in that lane, dropping a Cosmo there can offer you a lot of power. Turn 1, you'd like to set up Torch, a Torch move or pass, and that could be play Iron Fist to go into Torch. Obviously, you don't do that if you have Madam Web, or just dropping Torch if you have Madam Web, or Ghost Spider. Madam, do not drop Cloak on turn 2, please. Turn 2 is Madam Web, and if you have Madam Web, that's a snap condition, as long as you have literally any mover. Madam Web plus 2 movers is more power than almost anything in Marvel Snap, and will win you games. After that, that's better than the Torch move, which is generally better than Kraven. If you get Kraven down, you're fine. Kraven goes above Torch move if you realize your opponent is also playing move. Turn 3 is Cosmo on Madam Web if you think a counter is likely for Madam Web. If not, now you're trying to get Vulture going if at all possible. Turn 4 is move Vulture or get a dagger move ready, or both, because you can play like a Ghost Spider to pull that Vulture and then drop dagger, or you can play Cloak and drop dagger. Any of those are perfectly fine. Turn 5 is generally speaking Swan and Falcon, but there are again other plays if you don't want to. If you have the ones in hand, you definitely want a Swan so you can Heimdall, but you can also play Cosmo and Dagger at that point. You can play whatever you need to get yourself ready. Just it's worth noting that like Madam Web is still really good on turn 3. On turn 4, she's still very good. On turn 5, she's fine. She's not that important. On turn 5, she's basically just every other move card, right? You want to get 2 moves out of her for her to be ideal. 2 moves on movers out of her for her to be ideal. Cool. All right, so we're going to take one last look at this list. Sorry. Turn 6 before I go forward. Heimdall and replay a ton of moves. So if you go Black Swan and you can go Heimdall with Iron Fist, Torch, and Ghost Spider, you're probably going to win that game. For the love of God, I hope you snapped. Having Swan and Falcon with all 3 of the 1-drops is yet another snap condition. Madam Web, however, is the main one. Madam Web, nice and early. If your opponent can't stop you, and you have the move cards, you're gonna usually win. All right, so right after this next bit, we're gonna look one last time at this list, and then we're gonna look at another Madam Web list with a ton of potential. One I think might be it, but I need more testing on to be sure of. That one's gonna be from our friend Chaos Pro. But first, we've got Ava's favorite new card list. I really love this. I think that this feels more like bounce, even though it's only got Falcon in it, than some of the bounce moves do for me, and I think it's going to be really, really good. All right. If you'd like to see gameplay outside of checking out Ava, please check out the stream team. Today is Wednesday, so the great GamingwithFlashX will be playing these decks on his stream. Please do check him out. Also, Prashaun should have a video up sometime today with decks from yesterday's video. All right, Chaos Pro has this move Tribunal. This is a fairly similar list. The honest-to-God big differences are as follows. This list runs Mystique. This list runs Living Tribunal. And I'm not sure how I feel about Mystique. Mystique makes me want to run Iron Man, and now I'm not sure if I want to run Beast or Hercules, and there's something funky here. This is an almost set list. That's why it didn't end up being the feature list. It's almost the feature list. This list is very close. But I feel like only having one Mystique target, that being Madam Web. I mean, you can Madam Web Living Tribunal, but that doesn't do anything. But only having one really great move target makes this a little less effective. I would betcha there's another version of this that's a little more refined that goes a lot further in terms of winning games. Although, when this one goes off, it's fundamentally unbeatable. So you can find Chaos Pro at twitter.com/ChaosPro_. If you Google Chaos Pro Marvel Snap or you look up Marvel Snap Chaos Pro on YouTube, he still does Marvel Snap videos sometimes, but he largely does Marvel Rivals content. Chaos Pro fundamentally is one of the very first people who started playing Move Tribunal way back when. He's showed me the chat logs, like I didn't believe him because I remember talking about it with him. But Chaos Pro has been playing this type of deck for freaking ever, and Madam Web makes it a real deck. So Ghost Spider, Madam Web, Hercules, and Tribunal are all required. Yes, you actually need Hercules for this one. I'm really sorry. He is, however, a Series 4 card now at least. Tribunal is absolutely amazing when this works, completely backbreaking, and I think that this Living Tribunal is the key to the deck. I think there might be a Ravonna Iron Man Tribunal version, like there was with Phoenix Force, because what you're doing, and I'm going to tell you this in advance of the turn by turn, what you're really trying to do is go Madam Web Mystique or Madam Web Hercules, and then get multiple triggers on one of your move cards. You'd prefer that to be Dagger Human Torch because they get bigger than Vulture, but you're just trying to get like a bajillion triggers on them, right? So if you go turn 1 Human Torch, turn 2 Madam Web, turn 3 Mystique, you're now just ping-ponging, right? It's a little more dangerous with Hercules, but that's why you have all these other move cards to help with that. And then you drop Tribunal, and you're like bajillion power Human Torch is now a stupidly huge Tribunal, right? And that's what this deck is really trying to do, again, with either Hercules or Mystique, but I really, really hate like that I have to have Madam Web for that Mystique to not just be a dead card. Oops, I went the wrong way, excuse me. For that Mystique to be a dead card. So again, I think there might be an Iron Man Ravonna version of this exact list. Either which way, though, this puts out so much power, and it is fun and must play, and you should absolutely try it if you get Ravonna. So I'm also curious if there's going to be a thena package for this card. Look, I've not had a lot of time to be on streams today, but I bet you that's what KM is testing. I bet you there's a thena version of this, like the Slayer Blade, that just says I'm running this card with Dagger and either Vulture or Torch. I don't know which. I think it's probably supposed to be Vulture, but I could be wrong. Could it be Torch? It could be Torch, because you're going to run Iron Fist also. It could be Torch. I'm not sure. Maybe it runs all 3, right? But it runs all 3 with just the other 2 1-drop movers, and then it runs Madam Web, and then it runs Ravonna, and then it runs Iron Man, and then it can run Mystique to do the ping-pong thing, and then, like, I feel like that could be a list too. So what do you think? Are any of these the list? Which of these is where you would go with this list? Where do you think the right place to go is with this Ravonna Iron Man Tribunal shell. And again, do try this list, but I'm curious about what your opinion is in advance. Let's see who's right. All right, so Chaos Pro has been on this forever, and it is legit. This is a very good list. I'm not trying to talk down on it. I think this list is stellar. I just think it could use one more piece of refinement. So turn 1, you set up Torch, move or pass, same exact as before. Turn 2, Mana Web and Stat, and or is better than Torch move, although sometimes you can sort of do both if you have Torch and that Mana Web lane. Turn 3, you Mystique Web or you drop Hercules. I think Mystique on Web is generally safer if you have a really, really big card, but Hercules can be perfectly fine if you're not sure if you're going to get Tribunal or anything else going. Turn 4 is double moves with Madam Web and Hercules or Mystique. Turn 5, you just do it again. You keep removing things. And then turn 6, you drop Tribunal for your bajillion-ish power card. If you're not going to see Tribunal, you just do a second move card, and both of those move cards are usually big enough. And that should win you the game of Marvel Snap. Next up, we're going to look actually at our custom card challenge. We haven't done a Drewberry yet. You heard that right. Drewberry custom card challenge in forever. So we're going to do one of those. And then we're going to look at a new secret sauce for Zoo, for how Zoo is going to match up with this list. One last look at this. Props to Chaos Pro, because Tribunal plus Torch plus Mystique plus Madam Web equals cubes. All right, custom card challenge. Usually every 2 weeks. We're going to try and go back to doing it a little more often so that like our friends who really enjoy that can have a place to do this because, well, Drewberry's gone, right? So like people that really enjoy custom card challenges, I think right now mostly have here to do, go about that. So we're going to do custom card challenge this week. The keyword was activate, and the whatchamacallit thingamajig. The theme was back to school, so it had to be a Marvel back to school theme. So we have 2 winners. One was X-Man from Hellboy. I love X-Men. I'm a giant X-Men fan. This is activate. Before you play your next card, add this card's power to it. So this works very similarly to Forge. And for anyone who doesn't know who X-Man is, he's an Age of Apocalypse character raised by that universe's version of Forge, which I think is a really, really great bit of little synergy there, and that's really what got this on there. I think this might be too strong, but it's still super cool. This works like an expensive Forge for Brood and other scalers, because there's those times when like you don't really want to Forge on 3 and Brood on 4, right? But if you have X-Men on 3 and Brood on 4, all of a sudden you feel much better. He can have his strength pumped. You can also Forge into him, into Brood, which just seems like it's silly, silly strong, which I think would be super cool. He can have his strength pumped by cards like Gwenpool or Forge before activation, so Surfer and Patriot would absolutely love him, and I think that this card would be amazingly, amazingly cool, and I wish they would print it. Props to Hellboy. Another card is, this is more of a generalist card. This is Voltron. This is a 3/2. Remove the text from the last enemy card played. Now, the word here is missing because there was a explanation written. This is the son of Enchantress, and I think that this sort of being another ongoing counter like Enchantress is really good. This is, yes, another Surfer card, but this is generally good to counter both ongoing and passive abilities or activate, and getting rid of any of those seems really cool. This is sort of like a souped up rogue, and I think it's a very, very cool card, so props to Voltron for this one. Our next custom card challenge, we're just going to go next week. Again, I want to do more of these for the people who need them, for the people who really enjoy this kind of thing. Our keyword is going to be a 5 or 6 cost activate. I know that's difficult. That's kind of the point. And the theme is the Elders of the Universe. We have Collector and we have Grandmaster, but there's a whole bunch. Look them up. Figure it out. 5 or 6 cost activate. Cool. If you'd like to participate, please join Drewberry's Discord, linked as always in the description to this video, and check snaptracker.me/custom. This will be due on 9/16, next Monday. All good? All good. Our last deck is Eeka's Zoo. Eeka is one of our favorite deck builders in the game. We feature his decks on this channel all the time, and he had the brilliant idea of throwing Supergiant into Zoo. Supergiant in Zoo counters a lot of what the meta is doing, while allowing your counters and your opponent not to really know how much power you have. It's the unpredictability Zoo needs to get extra cubes. Supergiant is also a hilarious way to mess up a lot of move cards. If they are trying to replay bounce cards on turn 5 and they don't reveal that Heimdall is kind of dead, they're in a lot of trouble. So this is a very, very good counter. Plus it has Shadow King as a move counter. All right, you can find Eeka at twitch.tv/EekaMTS. Eeka rocks with this. Marvel Boy is what makes Zoo meta, so you need Marvel Boy, I think, to play Zoo. You also need Gilgamesh and Mockingbird. Supergiant is the secret sauce here, but it could be Kara Armor or numerous other good cards. I think Supergiant is just the meta answer for this deck. Eeka had a 71% win rate in this and got into the top 75 of the Infinite Leaderboard. That's right, top 75 of the Infinite Leaderboard with it. Turn 1, whichever one. If you have Mockingbird, Squirrel Girl is the priority. If you have Marvel Boy, Squirrel Girl is the priority. Turn 2, Dazzler or 2 1s. Unless 2 1s are better than Dazzler if you didn't have Squirrel and you do have Marvel Boy. Turn 3, Marvel Boy is better than Shauna. Turn 4 is usually Supergiant. If not, feel free to drop your Kazar. There's also times when Shauna makes sense or Marvel Boy makes sense, but Supergiant's usually the play. Turn 5, you figure out what to hide. Options include Shadow King and Shauna, very strong play. Gilgamesh, because if you're going to blue Marvel last, Gilgamesh is great. Shauna and Squirrel Girl, just say, my board looks empty, I've got blue Kazar and blue Marvel, and now I can just sort of go off, and then Kazar and Squirrel Girl are the other options. Turn 6, blue Marvel and a 1, pending what you did on turn 5, are the play, and Gilgamesh and a 1 is fine, and so are Shauna and Mockingbird, or Mockingbird and Shadow King, or Shauna and Shadow King. You get the idea. Any of these plays are fine. This list puts out an absolute ton of power. It's one of the easiest things to play. If I had access to this and just wanted to climb, this would be one of the very first decks I would look at to play. All good? Hopefully you enjoyed this. It is time for questions of the day. Let's begin with J.R. Gamble, who asks if I own any hip artwork. So let's start with no, I don't. My apartment is amazingly and insanely cluttered. I live in a fairly small apartment, not tiny, but a fairly small apartment with my family, and both my wife and son have an absolutely insane amount of stuff. So I don't really have any space for to have artwork around. That said, I really like. So I spend a lot of the money I make on the channel trying to support the community, and I put a reasonable amount of my money into charity. I don't really want to say what charities, but I put a reasonable amount of my money into charity. I think Marvel Snap really, really needs to support their artists. I know that like they either commission that artist directly or they buy it from Marvel. But when they buy it from Marvel, the artist gets nothing, even when they slap the artist's name on the bundle. If they're going to advertise that artist specifically, I think that artist should get an extra cut. And it's terrible, absolutely terrible that Marvel Snap doesn't do this, especially given that they are a privately owned company and thus could do this while also being without like having to answer to investors or without having to answer to stockholders, and that like it's so clearly the right thing to do. I would like to support artists more, but I don't feel like right now that is a better use of my money than trying to support some of the charities that I do. Hopefully that makes sense to everyone. It doesn't feel hypocritical. All right. Koire asks what my concern level is with overexposure on the internet, given that I use my real name. He asks what my rules are to protect my privacy. I try not to mention where I live, although I live in New York. I've said that a million times, right? I've mentioned that I grew up in the Bronx and that I'm still in the area. So I don't know, I'm fairly open, and I've been extraordinarily lucky that my community is very cool about that. I think that a lot of the tone of what I do protects me from a lot of the nonsense, but sooner or later, someone's going to do something stupid to me. I'm well aware it's a risk I accept. I think a lot of the overprotection things we do are just are just a lot of the overprotection things we do are just security theater to make us feel better. I know Jorbs, who's like my favorite streamer in any space, often has his privacy invaded and people be really weird and terrible and creepy to him. He posts about it. Someone just did that to his partner, which is again terrifying. And I guess that could happen to me. And if I get big enough, it probably will eventually happen to me. But I don't think that like hiding it is really gonna protect it. All you can do is be honest, kind, and hope that people are honest and kind with you in return and don't become weird and creepy. Sometimes people aren't mentally right and they will do that. And I really, really hope it doesn't happen and I continue to be really lucky. All right. Patreon.com/snapjudgments is how you can support the channel if you'd like to do some more. Certain tiers of support on our Patreon come with on-air thanks. I'd like to say thank you to the wonderful and original Abigail Giesland, our friend Mandatory Burnout, Cables, we love Cables, regardless, hope you're doing well regardless, David G. Wingfield, have a wonderful day, the one and only Direwolf, one of our OG fans, so is Abigail Giesland, so is Mandatory Burnout. We've got the great and always kind LAB, our friend FaThorNewman, who you should totally check out his content. He's an awesome human being. Good Dog Gamer. Hey, Good Dog Gamer. I still have that deck. It is literally listed actually for tomorrow, so hopefully nothing insane comes up. Deus Volt, coming all the way from Scotland. Ink, the Graphite Fanatic. I am Frostman, who sure is Frostman. Another OG Jane Everett. Corwin. Hello, Corwin. Prime Ryan, the sponsor of Snap Judgments League Season 2, I believe it was Season 2, and a wonderful person all around. Ryan Burke, the great Ryan Burke of the street I grew up on fame. Another OG, the King of Questions, Character Lee. Koi Ray, coming all the way from Japan. Yet another OG, my current Alliance leader, the Black Dahlia. The Great Pyrophros, the Goat Seeker, another one of our Alliance leaders. Denman Falcon, who I will hopefully see in a month. I gotta double check the dates at the next Brookline. Quid Pro Joe, the king of new Marvel Snap card content, Docty. Pratt Nick, hopefully you're doing well. We're chatting as I'm recording this video, so I will get back to you as soon as I'm done recording. Our friend, Mr. Kerfuffle, thank you, new friend. Ginger Prime, hey Ginge. Philip Rakovich, who is, again, killing it with the shorts on this channel. Haplo, Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone. Rob Silverman, The Bizza, X-Force V, and Skippy G. Again, like people that have been here forever. Rob Silverman, The Bizza, X-Force V, Skippy G. Forever. Thank you so freaking much. Tommy Nyquist, winner of Snap Judgments League Season 1. The King of Bros, hopefully you're doing well. The Great Kazoo. Jessica Gamble. Hello, friends. Woody. Kev C. Hoda. Hello, Kev. Luna Chris. Quantum Quinn. Still the coolest name. Ludacris and Quantum Quinn are in a fight for the coolest name in my head. John Q and Johnny and Jimmy McHugh. I don't know why I keep doing that. John Q and Jimmy McHugh. Wonderful to have you two. Clam. Still awesome. Eighth Sage. What happened to the other 7, my friend? The Mod Supreme Models. The one and only Darth Vader. Joe P, who's no Joe K. Brian Kaufman. Hey, Brian. Tristan H. Martin. Message me what the H stands for. I am now curious now that I thought of it. Jason B. JT McDonaldinho. We got to check out on Twitch. He's streaming all the time now, apparently. He's now Mr. Fancy Streamer, man. The Fuzzy Dunlap. Spectrum X. Hi, Spectrum X. Woo. Matt H. Hey, Matty. DJ Mikey Hijinks. Another OG. No frickin' flex. Oh, Mikey, you got to let me know if you got this video in advance. No frickin' flex. Another OG. Ocularis, another OG who's chilling in Infinite. Mr. Craig Sterry. Seamus. Jonesy. More OGs. Check out the Triple Threat, y'all. Two Ties. Check out his 2 ties, y'all. The great Lauren Whatevs, one of my favorite people in this world. The Pirate King Tuccrr, who is going to take over Twitch, get in on the ground floor. The Homie Min, who we miss. And of course, Gunny T, where the T stands for. Tomorrow is another 2-video day, which means 3 2-video days this week. This is a little much, but hopefully you enjoy it. See you tomorrow for another Snap Take. Peace.